I came across this place and it fits the idea of like what we've been kind of like thinking about doing like something together. Let's talk more about it over dinner. Over dinner, we got too excited conceptualizing over dinner of like what can we do with the space and all of that. And then I looked at the time. I'm like, it's still bright out right now. Why don't we stop by to check it out? We secure a time to meet with the agent and the landlord in person.
With no business plan model planned out. It was literally got the space first and then we'll just naturally figure things out later.
Well, I love the San Gabriel Valley.
Welcome to the My SGV podcast.
So I grew up here and I still live in Alhambra.
I was raised in between Temple City and Alhambra.
Eventually resided in South San Gabriel.
Our mission is to capture and share the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley.
Monterey Park has pretty much been my whole life.
Well, I'm proud to say that I was born and raised in the San Gabriel Valley.
We believe our diversity is what makes the SGV great. And no matter where you are from, in the San Gabriel Valley, you will feel welcome. All right, SGVers, welcome back to another episode of the My SGV podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new here, we bring you the stories of the people of the San Gabriel Valley. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We do appreciate it. Well, I'm excited. We have today in the studio the owners and founders of Happy Humble Hub in Alhambra. And it's like right in the heart of, where I grew up. So I'm excited to have this conversation. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting us, Russell.
Yes.
So before we get to your story, thank you to Paris Baguette for sponsoring these delicious treats every week for our guests. If you haven't already, go check them out in the city of San Gabriel on Las Tunas and say hi to Jason for us. Today we're excited to introduce two dynamic entrepreneurs who have created a unique community space in the heart of Alhambra, California. Their venture serves as a vibrant marketplace and event venue, offering a platform for small businesses, startups, and local artisans to showcase their products and connect with the community. Beyond retail, this space hosts a variety of events, including yoga sessions, paint and boba classes, and workshops, fostering creativity and togetherness among visitors. With a mission to cultivate happiness and humility, they have transformed their venue into a welcoming hub where relationships flourish and memorable moments are made. Please join me in welcoming Huong and Wendy from Happy Humble Hub. Welcome to the show.
Hey.
Thank you for inviting us. Sorry, we come off a little bit nervous.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Happy Humble Hub. Let's start there. Like, why did you guys choose that name?
We wanted something that sound like alliteration. So it's like HHH. It's also, when we combine it, it's H3. If you ever look at our logo, the 3 is actually sideway for W. It's Wendy, it's Huong and Wendy. And it's also a kind of like a chemistry thing. It's an ionic combustion symbol that starts the universe.
Oh, that's a
H3.
little complicated. Ionic combustion symbol.
Yeah. It's a shortened form, but a form of it. But I'm pretty sure chemists out there will probably correct us.
Okay.
But in simple terms, shorter terms though, is because Hong and I had a conversation over dinner one day when we were trying to pick the words that we wanted to represent who we are and what we want the hub to be. And the first thing that we agreed to is the word happy, because we're like, we want this place to be a place that we feel happy about and that all of the people that are visiting can feel happy about coming in. Mm-hmm. And then the second word, humble, because we have very humble beginnings. So we wanted to stay down to earth. We wanted to remember that humbleness, and we also want all of the people, the vendors and the guests that comes to us, right? They can see that through the hub as well. And then because Hong said that we want an alliteration, right? HHH. So we're like, okay, what's the last word that we wanted to use? So we came up with the word hub, because a hub is a place that connects people, and it fits well with the concept of what we're trying to bring. And so we ended up with a Happy Humble Hub. So
right off the bat, you guys, there's like meaning behind the things that you are doing, even in the naming of your business. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool. I want to get started with your connection to the San Gabriel Valley. I've sort of heard this story before, but let the listeners know, what is your connection?
I was originally born in Vietnam, and I immigrated here at the age of 4. So I've been living in Alhambra for over 20 years. I did briefly move and live in San Diego for school and work for like 8 years before abruptly deciding to move back here because there was like a calling. I was like, San Diego is cool. It's a chill environment, but you know, there's still that like warm connection to Alhambra. So I decided to quit my job at San Diego and move back here suddenly with all my belongings in a box, and I had to ship to my parents' living room. So I was living in my parents' living room for a few years while I was looking for a job in Alhambra. It wasn't a well thought out process, but it was because I felt comfortable in Alhambra. So I've lived and go to school here. All my friends are from kindergarten to here. They're all in Alhambra.
You mentioned moving here from Vietnam when you were 4. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what that was like?
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I didn't know a single word of English. My parents didn't either. So when I was in kindergarten, when kids were talking to me in English, I didn't respond. So I was actually a loner. But it didn't really get to me because I liked being by myself at that time. I think it was just very overwhelming that I didn't speak the language that everyone else was speaking. And slowly, I picked up English because my dad really loved this particular DVD rental on Valley. So he would rent like 4 to 5 English movies, and that's what I would watch. It's just English movie and picking up English, watching English movies.
Oh, which ones were they?
It was a lot. It was like very old movies. The James Bond series we watch. Any of like the King Kong movies, any like series, actually he did a lot of he rents a lot of the romantic movies because they were softer and calmer in tone when they were having dialogues. And
he intentionally rented those ones for that purpose?
I don't know. I don't even know if he understood the context because he doesn't speak English. But I think in his perspective, it's like he wanted dialogues that were kind of calming in nature. Right? Nothing like too abusive and like foul languages. So yeah, I watched a lot of romantic movies, English romantic movies.
You probably didn't even understand what they were talking about at the age of 4.
Yeah, but I learned. So I picked up a lot of that English speaking skills. We
had a guest who came from Korea, and she had no idea what her English sounded like until people were like, "Why do you speak like that?" She learned all her English from like black comedy shows.
Oh wow!
So she was speaking like that. Yeah. She would use the slang, and they're like, "What?"
How cute!
Yeah, it is. I think it's really cool, actually. Right? Yeah. So, Wendy, and what's your connection to the San Gabriel Valley?
So similar to Huong, I was also an immigrant. I was born in China. I moved to the U.S. when I was 8, 9, right before my 9th birthday, I remember. And lived in San Gabriel for a really long time up until I went to college, moved away for a few years. I would say maybe like 5 or 6 years. I lived in the Westwood area for some time and then moved back to San Gabriel and then briefly moved out to West Covina area for a few years. And then after the horrendous commute going to work in the West LA area, we're like, you know what, it's still better moving back to SGV, closer to the heart of SGV. So right now I live in El Monte, which is not too far from where I used to grow up. I used to grow up in San Gabriel, actually. And I met Huong in high school because we both went to San Gabriel High School. And I also remember that it was pretty daunting moving to the U.S. as well. I also did not speak any English before coming to the U.S., and neither were my parents. I learned English in a very different route than Huong. Instead of watching English movies, what we did was my parents were really, they're very concerned about us losing our ability to speak Chinese. So that at home, we only speak our own dialect at home. And then my parents would make us watch 30 minutes of news in Cantonese, 30 minutes of news in Mandarin, 1 hour of news in English. So I watched the Peter Jennings World News growing up ever since I came to the U.S. until he unfortunately passed away. And as a kid, I was always the weird one that's very connected to everything that's happening in the world.
She still is.
Thank you. And then, of course, then I also watched like The Simpsons, The Rugrats growing up, the cartoons, as opposed to watching movies. Like, I have no idea, movie existed at that age.
Humble is a part of your business name and also part of your story. Can you share how that fits into your business?
One of the things that we wanted to share with the community, or at least be a supporter of all the vendors and the local business owners and the entrepreneurs that came into interactions with us, is that we wanted to be a support of them, because we felt that when we were growing up, maybe my parents didn't really have access to a lot of the resources that were available at the time. Part of it is maybe there were not that many resources, and then the other part is because they didn't know English, right? So they didn't know where to look for those type of resources and support. And now that we kind of like went through some of those in like our life growing up, and we kind of like be at a point where we can't be someone else's support, we wanted to offer that back to the community and the vendors that we work with.
What was it like growing up for you here as a young child, not just in school and learning the language, but like what was your extracurriculars like, and what was your home life like?
For me, at least, I was actually very fortunate that I grew up in a time where social media was not big enough. I mean, there was MySpace, but only the certain popular people were using it. But it was a lot of outdoor activities for us. Growing up, I was fortunate enough where I can do any outdoor activities, whether it's with my friends or with my family. At school, it was more about grinding it out, overachieving. We're competing with other Asian kids. I went to Baldwin School from kindergarten to 8th grade, so it was a lot of competition then. So school life was more like focusing on getting, being the top 10, top 20 of your class. You're competing with other kids as well. And then home life was more about, at that time, I didn't realize that the living condition we were in, I never see it as whether we were in poverty or were well off. It was not about the monetary value of it. It was more like, I can come home, I have a meal, I have a roof. My parents, my mom cooks 3 meals for me. I see home more as like a safe place. I go home and I feel like I'm very fortunate every day that I have a roof over me. Yes, I may be an immigrant, but like I see other kids who are less fortunate, and it reminds me every day that I'm grateful that, coming to America, I can live in a rental space and still have food on the table for me. So I don't know. I just felt like I was very fortunate growing up.
Were you aware of how your family was living in comparison to other families?
Oh, I was very, very well aware. It was something that I didn't, I guess I can, when I go to like other kids, my friend's place, it was like a nice house with sets of chairs and table, a full set of chairs and tables, and they have the actual kitchen and actual bedroom. For us, because we were living in someone's back house, it was like a transformed, like an illegal back house kind of thing that was very popular back in the days. We had, to share space with my siblings. So we had one room where we have, the 5 of us in one room, and then the other room was where my mom's sewing machine, and we were doing sweatshop work. So our house was full of bags of like clothes that she would bring home from the factories. So she'll be like sewing a piece of cloth for like 5 cents or 10 cents, and after we finish our homework, we'll go and help her flip a collar or like flip a sleeve so that she can finish sewing. So home life to me, it was more like a routine thing. During that time, I already knew off the top of my head we may not have like it may not be the best living condition compared to other kids who were able to go to like piano classes, violin, swim class. We were just literally after school, we go straight home and do homework and help our parents with their sweatshop work. During that time, I already knew that we were not in like the best condition, but we were able to make do with 3 meals a day.
Wow, that's really challenging. How beautiful to have your family together. Like, what good is a house if everybody stays in their own room? And a lot of families are like that. And I just imagine like you guys are all there and you have to be together, you know, and that's there's some beauty in that.
Yeah, we turned it, my sister and I turned into a competition, like who can like flip the fastest, you know, who can put the fastest stickers on the packaging. But yeah, it was, we tried to turn our condition, our situation, our environment that we're in into something that's more enjoyable. With my sister, we have like a big age gap, so 12 years and 9 years. At that time, I'm seeing them usually like 5-year-olds old and 8 years old, and you know, that's when I realized like I really have to work hard and make enough money to buy a house and make sure they're like in good condition. Because I mean, nowadays you see 5-year-old and they're on iPad, but back in the days, in order to survive, you have to, you know, I feel really bad for my sisters too, because they couldn't even like go out and play because they're forced to do this work with me and my, you know, and my father. So it was, I tried to make it fun for them, but you know, it is what it is back then. So
I can't imagine what that must have been like for you. And it's, you know, obviously that you still carry the feelings of wanting more for the people that you love. That's always going to be a good thing. Wendy, when we first spoke, you shared some also, I don't think that they're similar in nature, but similar difficulties and struggles that sort of tie into the humble aspect of your business. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, so we came to the U.S. when I was 9. And my parents also didn't speak English, like I mentioned earlier. My mom also was sewing at home, getting paid by the unit, basically. So she gets paid like 3 cents, 5 cents, 20 cents, depending on what she was making. And at home, we were also helping my mom with flipping collars or putting on labels and things of the sort as well. But usually we would do it while we're watching TV. Like I said, my mom would make us watch like the news, right? So as we were like sitting in front of the TV, we'll be like doing kind of like those mindless small things that we could help her as she sews. My mom stayed at home with us up until we went. My younger sister and I went to high school, so she basically did not work for like a full-time job until we went to high school, because she felt that it's very important that there is a parent figure in our life growing up, so that we don't hang out with the bad kids or we learn like bad habits from school. And so we, I think we kind of held her back for sure, because she could have picked up any job, right, that she was able to find at the time, and she would be able to make a lot more money too, even though, you know, we ended up living in a 1-bedroom apartment for both my parents and myself and my younger sister. My parents were not making a lot of money. My dad worked in the back kitchen in a Chinese restaurant, 12 hours a day, minimum wage at the time. And my mom was pretty much making money based on however piece of clothing she was able to finish in that particular project. And so we had to make ends meet, and we were trying to be as content as we can at the time, I guess, because we never thought that we're in a bad situation, because my parents truly believe in the concept of making our living through their own hands. So they even though, they're making like minimum wages, they made it up by working extra hours to make those extra few bucks. They never thought about applying for any type of government benefits. With young kids at home, I think they would qualify for CalFresh or equivalent of the days, right? Or some sort of like government subsidy. They never did that because they felt like, we're fortunate enough that, we're healthy, we could make a living through our own hands. There are less fortunate people out there, any type of like government subsidy could go to those people that might not be able to use their own hands to make a living. So we kind of like did that for a few years. I think up until I went to college, my parents were still like working those type of jobs, except for my mom. She was able to go into a sweatshop and actually work there full time after my sister and I like started high school, because by then she felt like, we're mature enough to not we're mature enough to make decisions for ourselves on what's good and what's bad. And she wasn't like that worried about us like hanging out with the wrong bunch of kids or doing drugs or trying out things that might be a bad decision for ourselves.
You said that your mom didn't have a job, or you held her back. I have a different perspective on that. I think she had the most important job and the most amazing job, to be at home with your kids. That is a tough, tough job. It is like, all day, every day, no holiday, no break, work when you're sick, work when like it is the tough, tough job. Yeah. And I think so rewarding too. I would choose to be home, with my kids 100% if I could.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's such a undervalued job for people that think, quote unquote, housewives, right? I hate to use that term, but that's the term that people are familiar with. But my mom was working at home while she was like taking care of my sister and I, right? I feel bad now that I am a career woman. I felt like she could have accomplished so much more if we didn't help her back for just like, staying at home with us. So not to diminish any value that my mom put and all of those great things that she did for us, but I truly feel bad for holding her back in some way.
I feel the same thing with my dad. He couldn't have a full time because my mom doesn't drive. So he always, it's funny, because there's 3 girls at home, 3 daughters. And he was also afraid that, because we're foreign, someone's going to kidnap us. So growing up, he always tells us, don't smile to strangers. Don't smile when you talk to anyone. Don't smile in pictures. Just like keep your head low. Yeah. Stay like kind of invisible so you don't attract any attention.
Yep.
Yeah. So he would he didn't look for a full-time job because he would, in the middle of work, he drops everything he does, goes to school, picks us up, takes us home, and make sure we get home like safe. Even though we're like, okay, we can walk with other people. It's like, no, it's too dangerous. So, a part of me, I share this with you, Russell, is like, I share the similar sentiment with Wendy. It's like, I feel like I did help my father back a lot.
The value that you both share, that sort of bond you to and connect to you, right? This value of like, how can I repay this thing that I can never give back to them? Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. You guys have these similar experiences growing up. I grew up poor, but I had no idea. And I did go to people's houses. I was like, oh, their house is just nicer than ours. But I didn't realize what that meant for me.
Yep.
And I laugh at this because I have pictures of like, I think it's like a 7th or 8th grade birthday party. And I invite all my friends, okay, like, there must have been like 40 kids there, okay, so I was playing sports, Boy Scouts, just family, friends, and then school. All these kids, and we have like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. And then there's a picture of us in the living room. Kids are like sitting on top of the couch. And and later I was like, wow, no one ever, like I never felt that they were like probably like, this is a really small place, right? I was like, I don't care, everybody's here. It's unusual how we sort of manage, what's going on at the time and look back and see how it really was, right?
I was totally oblivious to the fact that we were probably living
below poverty
if we truly calculate using the federal guidelines on like what income guidelines are. But my parents never made it seem like we're living in poverty, obviously, because like we did not have any vacations up until I was in high school. But my parents never skip out on like letting us go on all the school field trips that we needed to go to. They pay for all of that. The first time I went to Disneyland was when I was in high school because my neighbor's parents were like, oh, you want to come with us? And then my mom didn't hesitate and just like gave us the money to buy the tickets and then to go with them. Like they never made us feel like we're dirt poor. But I knew that we were not too well, like similar, all my friends, they have like nice fancy houses and we live in a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartment, right? But I think the thing that made me more conscious about money as I was growing up is because I started managing my parents' checkbook when I was 9, right? Literally right after I came to the U.S. because they didn't speak English and we had to pay our utility bills. So all the utility bills, my dad would pre-sign a whole checkbook and then he'll hand it to me and say, here, you cut the check to the electricity company, to the phone company, to the gas company, whatever it was, right? So DMV, right? I would write all the checks. And then every month, the bank would send us a bank statement back then. And I would look at the bank statement and they would have like digital copy of the check printed on the check on the statement. And I was like cross-checking, like, okay, this is the check that I made out because of my writing. And then the amounts from the statement. I didn't know that I was already doing a bank rec at age 9. So that's what they call it in accounting terms, like bank reconciliations, right? But because I see the balance on my parents' bank account statements, I knew that, oh, we don't have a lot of money, right? It somewhat made me a little bit more aware and conscious of what I should be asking my parents to buy. And then I became like very conscious about spending as well. So if it's like something that I don't absolutely need, I will try to like say, okay, I can get by without it. Versus like if something that I really, really want, right, or really, really need, my parents never say no to us. And they didn't have a credit card at the time too. So like, I don't know about other Asian families, but like my family, they didn't believe in credit at all. They were like, we only spend and afford to buy what we can buy right now with the money that we have. So my parents never like live on credit, and they would never say no to me on the things that I really, really want. And I think part of that became the trust that was built between my parents and I, that I can make good decisions for myself. And they seldom would be imposing like curfews. I was like, you have to be home by 10. Like I go to my friends and classmates and Huong's place, right? Because we work on projects together in high school too. Sometimes through like midnight and 1 a.m. in the morning. Like my parents would never question that I'm not at my classmate's house doing a school project versus like I'm out and about at the nightclub or a bar or anything. Like they would be very trusting of me to make the decisions that I make, and also trust that I'm doing what I told them that I would be doing. And I think that continues on to today as well.
Yeah, I would guess if you're doing their books at 9, they have a lot of trust in you, right?
I think it's pretty common for immigrants during that time too. Like I would fill out all my parents' documents, customer service. I will make that phone call. Yeah. And they're like, you don't sound like Tanta. I was like, oh, okay, my dad's here.
Thanks for that background on both of you. We ask each guest to bring an item of significance with them. What did you bring with you today?
It's funny because Russell was just telling me that he hasn't seen one of these in a really long time.
Yeah.
So this is it's a jade pendant. It's called a harmony and peace knot in Chinese. It's called Ping An Kou or Ping An Kao in Cantonese. I brought this because this is not the original one, but like when I was born, my in China. My dad and my mom bought me one of these jade pendants because they want me to have a peaceful, harmonious life, right? And then it actually came with a chain, a matching chain. It was a silver chain that my dad customized for me before I was born. Unfortunately, I lost that in one of my hiking trips about 15 years ago. Like somehow the chain got loose and then the whole thing just fell. And I didn't even know like where it went. But I knew that I had it that morning before I go. And then I came home and I was like, crap, I don't know where it is. So I told my parents about it and they bought me another one. So I brought this because I felt that even though it's not the original, right? It's the thought behind it that counts. They had like Chinese parents, they don't say love a lot verbally, but I could feel, their love for me and to me for all the little things that they do for me. So, and then even though they didn't have a lot of money back then, they were able to customize a chain for me, right? And then also bought me this like pendant. So,
thank you for bringing that in. Thanks for sharing that. That was just sucked. What do you know? What hike it was?
I don't remember now, but that was like probably somewhere in like the Santa Monica Mountains. And that's like around the time when I was living in Westwood. So
I brought with me this watch I got. This is the first luxury item I bought for myself. It's just a very simple, sleek black watch. With my first paycheck, I bought myself a nicer watch. My prior watch for my dad, because he always says, wear a watch so you can tell time. So since grade school, I'll be wearing a watch, like the Casio, the Timex, the old like $10, $20 piece. And then when I finally got, when I graduated from college and found my first job with my, I think, second paycheck or something, I went and bought a nicer watch. Yeah, but the reason why this is one of those items is because, I really took into heart what my dad said to always, watch out for the time, and just having something on my wrist to know that, prior to me buying my first luxury item, he bought everything else. Similar to Wendy's, even though we may not be in the best condition, my dad would always make an effort to buy what we would ask of him, but we rarely seldom ask him anything. Whether it's computer, laptop, he always proactively take us to Best Buy. We'll window shop for a bit, and then he'll track the price. When it's on sale, then he'll take us like, okay, let's buy you this best computer there is at that time. And just thinking back, every time I look at my watch, like, wow, okay, like I make enough to be able to buy myself luxury items, but just thinking back and keeping myself grounded is back in the day when my dad was at my age, when he's in America, he did not have that financial means to do it, right? So it's just one of those memoirs. So I still wear it with me like 2 decades now. So.
Thank you for sharing that story and for bringing that in.
It's a very simple black watch. Yeah, I like things very simple. So all my stuff, when Wendy knows me right now, it's very simple.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I want to get into how the both of you sort of came together and then how the idea of starting this business came about. But let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Sometimes even the best of us can slip up. That's why the law offices of Scott Wormuth are here to pick you back up again.
And while they strive to get you the biggest compensation possible, oh my God.
Their main concern is your health and recovery. They work closely with doctors and insurance companies to make sure you get the proper medical treatment.
Initial consultations are free, so give them a call.
At the law offices of Scott Wormuth, we're with you all the way.
I'm Scott Wormuth. We've been fighting for your rights for more than 40 years.
All right, we're back with Huong and Wendy. Before the break, they were sharing about their items of significance and sharing their stories behind it with us. Before we go on to more of your story, when we get back from the break, we like to ask questions from this deck of cards called Icebreakers, and it's just a fun way for the audience to get to know us all a little bit better. And I'm going to answer it too. So I've answered this one before, but it is, when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So when I was younger, I wanted to be a forensic scientist because I love watching so I grew up watching Cantonese drama from a station called TVB, and they always have like these really, really cool forensic related dramas, right? And I was like, oh, that's so cool, right? But I regret it so much after taking my first biology class. I was like, I can't do this. And then so by the time like I was graduating high school, I'm like, what do I want to major in now? Like I can't like go the forensic scientist route anymore. So I actually went into college as undeclared for some time before I pick a major.
Awesome. Okay, forensic psychologist. And Huong?
It kept changing, but there was 3 things I always refer back to. One was a brain surgeon, only because biology class, Mrs. Sumi, we had to dissect like a pig, and then she gave us extra credit if you're able to check out the brain in like one whole piece. And then my partner Kimberly at that time, if she's ever watching this podcast, Kimberly and I, we were the only one that was able to, take that brain out. And then my biology teacher was like, wow, you're really good at this. And, that was an ego boost for me. So I actually was considering that. The other was anything to do with business. I was thinking what's the fastest way I can make money is to go into business, whether it's creating my own business or working in some financial sector. So, yeah.
We're on the second rotation of these cards, so I've answered this before on the show. Obviously, you guys haven't heard. I don't have any memory of wanting to be anything except, like, I knew I wanted to be a dad. Like, I always wanted to be a dad. I knew that. Like, when my niece was born, when my younger brother and sisters were born, like, just being around other kids, I was like, yeah, I really want to be a dad. I know I'm going to be a dad. So, and I've answered that before, but yeah, that's what I wanted to be.
And dream come true for you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it is. Yeah, being a dad is, it's really great. Yeah. If you're watching or listening, what did you want to be when you grew up? Let us know. When did the idea to, create something like this come about? And whose idea was it?
I was just talking because I just like to talk about what's on my mind. And then Wendy's probably one of the few people that actually listens and then grab those ideas and then, turn into reality with me. Amongst my groups of friends, childhood friends that I've grown up since kindergarten, we talk about doing investments, real estate, different types of business together, but it was just all talks. Wendy's probably the only one that would listen and go, let's do it. And then we actually got down and do it. Should we tell about how we even came to that store in the middle of the night? Wendy can share that.
I think it was like during the time when Huong was like doing a lot of like planning for her own wedding as well. And so one day she messaged me and say, hey, do you want to grab dinner? And I was like, sure, right? So it was unrelated to the business at the time. It was just more like we haven't seen each other in a while. Let's like catch up. And this is like right after COVID, right? So as we were making plans on where we're going to meet for dinner and when we're going to meet for dinner, the night before she texts me and say, hey, I came across this place and it fits the idea of like what we've been kind of like thinking about doing like something together, right? Let's talk more about it over dinner. So literally we just like, we made dinner plans unrelated to any type of like work or investments. And then we met up and then over dinner, she was telling me about this store, vacant store that she came across on Main Street, Alhambra. And we were just like conceptualizing over dinner. We got too excited, conceptualizing over dinner of like, what can we do with the space and all of that. And then I looked at the time. I'm like, it's still bright out right now. Why don't we stop by to check it out? Because I haven't seen the space yet. So we drove back to Alhambra and then was peeking through the windows on the sidewalk.
It was 7:30, but the sun was still out.
Yeah, there was still the sun, but the store was like pitch dark inside. And I was like peeking in. I was like, oh, I wish we could go inside, right? And then the store owner right next to us, he came out and he asked us like, oh, are you interested in renting the space, right? And I was like, yeah, we are. We were interested in taking a look, but we contacted Huong tried to contact the agent, but she hasn't gotten a response yet. So we told him. And he's like, oh, you want us to contact the landlord for you? And then he just like pulled out his phone and he called the landlord for me. And the next thing that we knew, I was on the call
for an hour. The landlord seems to like us.
Yeah, talking with the landlord, and then seems to like us, and he's like, let me get in touch with the agent and then have him call you guys on Monday, right? And then Monday came around, and then we secure a time to meet with the agent and the landlord in person. In about like a week or so from the date that we just like
yes, with no business plan model planned out. It was literally got the space first, and then we'll just naturally figure things out later.
Yep. And we made no investments, never set up a business in our entire life prior to that point.
Yes.
So
it was a roller coaster ride. It was learn as we go type of things. We spoke to some architect, some design planner. They were all very expensive, so we were like, we don't have that money. Let's just do everything ourselves. So it took us a year, but we did it.
And it's funny because if you look at our flyers and business cards and all of that, there's like a little tagline there. It says on the fly, because like, that's what we were doing in that 1 year of planning and getting the hub ready. Was a lot of learning on the fly, planning on the fly, doing something on the fly, because like so much comes up one after another, and then sometimes we didn't think about the consequence or the impact of doing one thing and what it can lead to the next, and then we constantly have to like figure things out.
Yeah.
And constantly be on our feet learning and moving.
Yeah. If anything, we would be like a case study from what not to do in like business classes. What not to do would be whatever we were doing.
Happy Humble Hub offers a diverse range of activities from marketplaces and yoga classes. Can you share a memorable story where the hub significantly impacted a local vendor or community member?
Most of our vendors that come to us are not well-known vendors, meaning they don't have social media presence. They either don't have an IG or they do, and it's like 100-something followers, or they're retirees, or they're vendors who have like a hobby, but they don't know the direction of where they want to go, so they just come. So our space is really for a niche group of people who need that support, like Wendy mentioned. One of the vendor, I call her Auntie EJ, but her name's Elisha, and her god sister Bobo. So two of them came to us one day, and we're like, they have this idea of selling healthy, delicious drinks, and we're like, is this another one of those what do you call it, the Herbalife type of energy drinks that they sell? And we were kind of hesitant. We're like, we don't want to have any like these chain products in our store. So we're like, okay, let's try it out. So we have her start at our store. One thing led to another, and she's like experimenting her drinks. She's creating her own drink menu that's like not being sold outside of the store. So when we had this cup sleeve event for a K-pop group called BTS, her drinks was like a sellout. It was very, very pretty. It was like a success story for us because she generated so much income from that event that it encouraged her to continue to experiment her drinks. She called herself a drink scientist. So all she does at the hub, she has a full-time job, but as an import and exporter. But for her like weekend, she would be at the hub and she like samples and mix her drinks, and she'll go outside the store to give people a sample. Like she's very motivated
asking
to
for
do that.
feedback on like, is it too like the flavors?
Yeah.
It was like too sweet, you know.
And then we helped her with, setting herself up on Instagram, encourage her to film more videos. It's just that journey of like being part of it with her, that she's able to have these creations. Like someday I do think her drinks will be a sellout. It's delicious, it's healthy, it's very, it's like perfected in a way where, because she's a perfectionist, So every drink she makes, it's like that consistency, the flavor, everything has to be perfect. And I don't see this from most of the drink shops out there. Yep. And it's only at the hub too that she's doing this. So we really think that, you know, with the way that she is, the motivation she has, she'll definitely be even more successful in the future.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. In an era dominated by online shopping, how does Happy Humble Hub create an irresistible in-person experience that keeps the community coming back?
Yeah, I think especially after COVID, I feel like people wanted to have more in-person time with each other, whether it's like attending events where there's like people or doing shopping, right? I think the idea of like being able to feel and touch and smell the products with your own eyes and hands is an appeal and an attraction to a lot of people in its own. And on top of it, the vendors that we work with, we typically go through kind of like a screening process on like, oh, what type of products are they bringing or offering, right? It's not going to be the retailers that they're reselling things manufactured, mass produced or mass manufactured, right? A lot of these vendors that we work with, they are local and they are either designing or actually making their stuff themselves. And there's the uniqueness to the products that are being brought in and being sold at the hub. In a way, I was talking to Bobo the other day. It's like a gift shop, like one of those like old boutique gift shops that you find very popular in the 90s and the early 2000s. A lot more of those are being phased out nowadays because of competition, right? But when you come into the hub, it gives you that vibe because you could kind of like shop for like little things that you can't really find outside of the hub.
Online is online. Like you expect quick, like you go to online with the intention of buying something. But with our shop, it's more like most of the time people that walk in, it's like, oh, it's really nice. I don't know about this space. And once they look around, they feel more in touch with the vendor who are selling the products. We have a vendor, he does like drawings or caricature, whatever you want to call it, for $1.
For $1?
Yeah, $1.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, most of the vendors, the reason they're able to keep costs low is because we don't charge them like an exorbitant fee of, you know, what the standard market is going for. We have another vendor that does sewing on the spot. So you have any used cloth fabric and you want to turn those fabric into something else, Teresa from Purple TAC, she'll go and sew it for you for like a couple $. And she's a retiree. We have vendors that, you know, with the intention that they don't need to worry about costs. That's why they're able to do these services at such a low price.
Yeah, I'm still blown away by $1 because that's like $30 at Disneyland or something, right? Maybe more.
Yeah.
And he does a really good job.
Yes. It takes a long time to draw, but it's a 4x6. Draws whatever you want to draw for $1.
But going back to what Han was saying, a lot of the vendors or the people that we work with, they don't know how to market themselves. And like even with Greg, I was telling him that you wanted to maybe bring some of your past work as like a portfolio so that, you know, it catches people's eyes, right? Right when they walk in, they know that you're there and this is what you do, right? But he's so shy and people don't know him or what he can do until like he's there like working, right, and drawing, and then people got curious, like, oh, it's only $1, so they give him $1, right, and he start working, and they were like, oh my goodness, this work is like you say, at least $30-$40, right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. What's the most unexpected event or workshop you've hosted at Happy Humble Hub that became a surprise hit?
Most unexpected. We didn't think we were gonna host like a K-pop event, but one of the coordinator, she's a BTS fan. She works in entertainment, but like as a side thing, she's like a fan of BTS, and she found our store by chance because she saw a TikTok video of someone drinking coffee at our store. So she thought our store was selling coffee. We do have one vendor that sells coffee, dosa coffee. They do like ube, matcha kind of
like customized.
Yeah, but only for a certain hours of the day. So she came to our shop nighttime looking for coffee, and we're like, we don't sell coffee here at this
night.
time. And then suddenly she's like, oh my God, can I do like a K-pop event here? And I was like having the actual singer like here, you're gonna have all these police and everything like block off roads, you're gonna create like traffic jam. She's like, no, it's a cup sleeve event. And then us not keeping up with like the times, K-pop, what's going on. It's like cup sleeve. What is cup sleeve? So apparently it's a trend now where people will host these in boba shop or coffee shop, and the fans, they will design a cup sleeve. And the thing is,
or the coffee or the boba cups. Yeah,
cups. So you'll buy a drink. It brings businesses, drives revenue for the businesses, and then they get a free cup sleeve. So we host our first BTS cup sleeve event, and it was a lot of people. Yeah.
Like how many?
It was, so like 160 people signed up, but like over 400 showed up.
Oh my gosh.
So we were like, okay.
Wow.
So
it's pretty popular.
It was surprising, yeah.
So she did a very good job in putting everything together. We're like, wow, this is unexpected.
Yeah. And then we heard from other coordinators and fans of the other K-pop groups, and they told us that the K-pop community is very intimate. So then once the BTS event was held, and then a lot of people start posting it, and the other coordinators are coming to us and working with us to try to organize more events. So I think we have one for Stray Kids coming up in May. So we'll see how successful that will be.
That was very unexpected. It was never in our pipeline to host a cup sleeve or any K-pop related events.
If you could give one piece of advice to an aspiring entrepreneur looking to build a community-focused business like Happy Humble Hub, what would it be? One piece of advice.
One piece. Oh gosh, there's so many, but one piece. You need a great partner. You can never, as much as you try to do everything alone, it's good to have another person with you. So I was very fortunate that Wendy's here with me because I can't do everything alone. So it's always good to do the business, but with another person.
Thank you, Huong, because I think I'm very risk averse. So if it wasn't for Huong, I would probably take the initiative to start this business with her. But my one piece of advice is do all of your research and diligence in terms of the business permits and the business license that you would need to start the business, because that was I would say one of the biggest struggle for us, because it really delayed us from getting our business started, and then we had to spend a lot of money on just rent and all of that, but unable to open for business for the longest time. So it put us in a little bit of a financial struggle because of that. So definitely do all the research that you can, and have realistic timelines, so that by the time that you work with your partners, like your sourcing partners, suppliers, vendors, or landlord, or all of the third party people that you can think of that you would work with, by the time that you work with them, you already have an idea of what to do and when your business can get started, getting all of those compliance legal issues out of the way.
Research, but also get connected with your city hall people. Really get to know them and understand what that checklist is, because we were naive to think that, things will move along if we just do follow-ups and people will tell us that information. No, you have to be a go-getter and really know who your city hall people is, depending on where your business is, and know what they want from you. That way you can create that checklist and get things done faster.
That's great advice. Thank you for sharing that. Hey, are you guys ready to get into some conversations around food.
Sure.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to move on to the final segment of the show where we're going to learn about what you guys like in the San Gabriel Valley. All right, this is the SGV3. We ask you to share your 3 favorite places to eat in the San Gabriel Valley. It's not as easy as it seems, but always an exciting thing to learn. Who wants to go first?
Depending on the mood, my list always changes. But the first one would be PP Pop. I go PP Pop at Monterey Park.
PP Pop.
Yes, it's called
Okay.
PP Pop. I know a lot of people like Ding Tai Fung for their dumplings and whatnot, but I think for costs and for the it's like a mom and pop shop. My husband loves PP Pop, so we go there occasionally. We order the same thing: the beef noodle soup, the xiaolongbao, and the
Beef roast.
beef roast and the squid, their calamari. They actually fry the whole octopus for you and cut it up. It's not like your typical calamari that's like the white rubbery thing. You taste the octopus on this one. It was good.
Where is this at?
This is, you know where the Hong Kong supermarket is? It's in that plaza.
Garfield and...
It's on Garfield. It's a very small
close
corner.
to Garvey and Garfield. There's like a plaza there.
Okay.
So if you want xiaolongbao, that's not costly, then yeah, go there.
Yes.
What's not costly? Is it like $9?
No, it's like a whole. They give you a whole like basket of like 8 to 11 pieces.
It's like $12 or something.
It's like it's like 11 something.
Oh, you know, I remember when Din Tai Fung used to be like $10 for the xiaolongbao.
Yeah, it's like smaller. This one is big.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
This one's big.
Nice. And what's the second place?
Second place for traditional, more of a traditional like Chinese authentic food. And we only go here when the celebration is NBC seafood. Because the only reason why we go there is because my mom cooks at home. Now my mother-in-law cooks more healthy food. My mom cooks more of the unhealthy food. But anything that my mom doesn't cook and it's delicious, it's NBC seafood. It's more traditional. Yeah.
Think of how many celebrations have been held there, right?
Or wedding.
Wedding.
Banquet.
Dinner banquet.
I mean, not only like a formal thing like that, but just families gathering there for a special occasion,
like
right?
Dim sum.
That's our default place. Yeah.
Oh, I love that place.
That was like, I think the first time I found out that they have these large tables that could seat like 18 people. Because like
a round
table.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was crazy because like I organized this dim sum experience for my coworkers after this community service event that we had, and we had about like 18 people. So I was gonna ask them, can you give me 2 large tables, right? Thinking that each table can seat about 10 people, and they're like, oh no, I can give you the large table. It was like they literally gave us like huge table.
Yeah. Wow. Chinese restaurant, they don't care if you're elbow to elbow. Just squeeze everyone in.
And what's the third place?
Third place is the recent mom and pop Japanese place that I always go to because it's close to my previous work. It's called Taihei. It's in Monterey Park. It's a very small. It's next to an Italian restaurant, but it's a mom and pop sushi place. It's a bang for your buck type of deal.
Taihei.
Taihei.
And where is it located?
Close to the Harmony Tree Learning Center. It's across the street from it.
And you said sushi.
It's sushi, yeah. So you can, if you like pay a lot for omakase. This one you can get like the whole sushi platter for like $20 to $30, and there's like a lot of pieces.
Wow.
It's fresh. And it's actually owned by real like Japanese people.
Wow, that's a pretty good
You have
deal.
to take me there.
Oh, you've been there. You've been there before.
I have?
Yeah. It's a like the very beginning. I've been there before. It's a small mom and pop shop.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing those. And yours, Wendy?
So when Huong brought up PP Pop, I was like laughing because I actually put Mr. Dragon Noodle on my top 3 because it's actually I think the second store for PP Pop, a little bit closer to me. They're on Garvey and Walnut, not Garvey, San Gabriel. San Gabriel? No.
It's a valley. So you just go
like
straight to the valley.
Valley and I think Walnut, in the Samu barbecue plaza on Valley. They have the exact same menu as PP Pop, except they have like a little bit more entree selections on like the noodles and the stir fry noodles and the soup noodles. But we always get the pan fry buns, with the crispy crust, right? And then the xiaolongbao, the beef roll, and the popcorn chicken, like a variety
They're
of
huge.
it.
The popcorn chicken is like actual chicken.
It's called Mr. Dragon Noodle.
Yeah, Mr. Dragon Noodle House, I think. So it's just like
I think it's the same owner.
the same owner.
menu looks the same.
And on the menu too, I think the Chinese menu has the same name.
You said off of Valley, like by the Samu Plaza. Is that like Focus Plaza? Is Del Mar in Valley?
No. There's like a Samu barbecue, like a smaller store on on Valley and Walnut, where the McDonald is. There's like a McDonald in the plaza.
It's in the McDonald Plaza.
Yeah.
It's very small too.
Oh, it's very close to here then.
Correct. Yeah. Just down the street.
You can just go.
Yeah, like a block away, I think. do you watch Hungry for Munchies on Instagram?
No.
He's like a food influencer. Anyway, so he kept saying like, oh, Din Tai Fung is overrated. He kept saying like Mr. Dragon Noodle, Mr. Dragon Noodle. I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And what's the second place?
Well, the second place is called Havana Club Restaurant. It's a Cuban restaurant in El Monte. So I actually found them many, many years ago before I moved to El Monte, because I was like, we have such a diverse food culture here in SGV, right? And I think probably like 15 plus years ago, I was like looking on Yelp. I always try to look for places I haven't tried before. And we came across Havana, and we absolutely love it. Like, they have the best oxtail dish I've ever had. That was like my introduction to like really good oxtail dish. And we like sometimes we would like frequent back. And then since we moved to El Monte, of course, then we would be more of like a local, going back there more often. And then my third one is a burrito place called La Bufadora Grill, also in El Monte. I did not knew that they exist until one of my friends that lives in OC told me that, oh, they have really good burritos. And I was like, where are they? They're like, in El Monte. I'm like, oh my goodness, I live in El Monte. I didn't know. So
La Bufadora Grill.
Yes,
And what do you get there?
I get their the fish burritos.
Fish burrito.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They have fish burrito. They have shrimp burritos. They also have it in taco form as well. The fish tacos are really, really good as well. We also, I think we went there one time to get the what was it? It was like a steak fries. It was really good too. Asada fries.
Hot.
Yeah.
Well, they must be known for their seafood there at that place then.
I think so. I think the most popular ones, I mean, they have all the different the burritos and tacos, but like my favorite at least are the fish burritos and the fish tacos.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for sharing those. Thank you so much for sharing both of your stories and your background. I'm really excited for your own fans, clients, vendors, customers to learn of your story, because what a powerful story it is. And I think that it's just going to serve to connect you even more with them and with the community. If people want to check out Happy Humble Hub, what's the best way to do that?
Email, text, any forms of communication. You can message us on IG, which is at happyhumblehub_H3, or you can even call or text us at 626-408-0681, or even email us at hello@happyhumblehub.com.
And these would be not for the general public, but people interested in maybe becoming a vendor there.
Yes, any forms of communication. It's whether you want to host a workshop or be a vendor or teach something, more than welcome to contact us.
And I would say please come and visit us in person too, because we're not that far away. We're on Main Street, Alhambra, very close to hopefully a lot of the listeners and viewers of this podcast, right? we're open if you wanted to stop by and take a look and get a feel of it yourself on what we can offer, whether it is you want to be a vendor to vend with us, or just like a customer to shop and see what our vendors have to offer, or if you wanted to host your private event or a workshop or a class, anything. Because I think a lot of people would tell us that they have no idea what to expect when they walk by our store, just on the storefront. And they have no expectation of just looking at the pictures and the information that we have on our Yelp page or on our website. But when they walk in, it is absolutely mind-blowing. It's nothing that they were expecting or imagining. So I think it's going to be a very, very different experience if you have time to stop by and just check us out.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, Russell.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, another episode in the books for you. I hope you enjoyed that and got something from their story. I think there's such a strength in sharing these moments from your life that were difficult. I know for myself, whenever I shared things that I've gone through, that other people hearing that, they gain some sort of strength from it. They gain perspective, and whether they're going through it now or have been, they get this sense that there's something great that can come from it. So I hope you got that as well from this episode. If you like this kind of content, please hit that like button. Don't forget to share and subscribe. You can check out the full catalog of episodes on our website, mysgv.net. And until next week, we'll see you then. Thank you for joining us on the MySGV podcast. Check out more of our content on our website, mysgv.net. This show was produced by Scott Wormuth, directed by Russell Mano, edited by Victoria Allers, and original music by Yone OG. If you'd like to join us next week as we capture and share more stories from our diverse community, feel welcome.
Nice mother. No, kind of mother.